Hey friends, today I'll be piloting the Esper Commander Tivit, Seller of Secrets, a 6/6 flyer with Ward 3, and whenever he enters or deals combat damage to a player, you basically will get some combination of 3 treasure tokens or 3 clue tokens, or some mix, 2 in 1 of the 2 types of tokens. This is really a control style deck. Essentially try to stabilize the board and then overwhelm your opponent with slow attrition type resources and win the long game. Our opponent today is going to be Peter Parker, a Bant commander that is a 0/1 for 2 mana, and when it enters you get a 2/1 spider token with reach. But Spider-Man, or Peter Parker, can be transformed into the Amazing Spider-Man, a 4/4 with vigilance and reach that gives you this web slinging ability for green, white, blue. The Amazing Spider-Man, Peter Parker, is really a Bant good stuff deck, and you just also try to outvalue your opponent, although it does have the capacity to go wide, as they can blink the Peter Parker for multiple spider tokens and then overwhelm you that way. So we'll see if we can't get 2 wins on our opponent today. We did win the coin toss, so we're going to elect to be on the play, and I do like this starting hand. We've got an Orcish Bowmasters and a Force Spike. Lorien Revealed can be cycled for an island card, and we've also got Dismiss, so quite a few things to be able to play and also help us get to our commander as well. So we'll go ahead and keep, and we'll play the Drowned Catacombs, which will get us access to the Force Spike or Orcish Bowmasters as soon as possible, and then we'll pass to our opponent. They'll open with a hedge maze, pass back to us, and we draw into a Hall of Storms. And I think we go ahead and play the Hall of Storms just so it doesn't enter tapped. I think now's a good time to get our Orcish Bowmasters off since our opponent is tapped out. We'll deal 1 to the face and then pass to our opponent. They'll play Iganjo, Seat of the Empire. It's just a white source now. And then 2 for a Bristly Bill. Draw into an Underground Sea. And I think we play the Flood Farm Verge just to give us access to a white source. And then we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. Bristly Bill to get a landfall plus token, or plus counter I should say. Swinging in for 3. And I think we go ahead and just take that 3, that's fine. We'll go down to 17. And then the second main phase they'll play the Sanctifier and Vec, which has pro black and red, and is going to exile our black cards. We're not really doing any red things because we don't have red in our color identity, but all of our black stuff is going to be exiled by this 2/2 human cleric. And then at the end of turn I think we go ahead and island cycle Lorien Revealed, and we'll go ahead and get a Tundra to our hand, draw into a Brainstorm, and then I think we go ahead and play the Tundra, and we'll leave Dismiss and Force Spike both up, and potentially Brainstorm if we get an opportunity to Force Spike our opponent. But with that we'll pass back to Peter Parker, who's going to landfall Bristly Bill again, up to a 4/4 now, and another plus token for Bristly Bill. Meticulous Archive to enter, and they'll surveil 1, and then they'll play a Nature's Lore, and I think we go ahead and just dismiss this to slow them down. So we'll counter Nature's Lore, draw into a No More Lies, and then the Sanctifier and Vec and Bristly Bill to attack. I think we'll go ahead and throw the Orc army in front of Bristly Bill now, so we'll avoid that damage, but we will take 2 from the Sanctifier and go down to 15. And then we see a Giver of Ruins. Rough. That is a very strong card. That's gonna unfortunately hit, and hopefully we can get rid of it before it causes too many problems for us. We draw into a Rafine's Tower, so I think we go ahead and play the tower, and that would leave all the cards in our hand up as potential counter spells and draw spells. And with that we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. Again, Bristly Bill to get another plus counter, and then he's going to double the number of plus counters, so he'll go up to a 10/10. He's going to give himself pro black, and we're going to take a lot of damage here. Oof, this is a bad day right here. I think we go ahead and fire off the Brainstorm just to see if we can find an answer. We draw into a Stern Scolding, Mystic Sanctuary, and a Swamp. So we'll go ahead and put both swamps on top of our library, and then we'll be taking some damage here. Whoops, I wanted to block the Sanct. Oh, he's got pro black, so I couldn't even block anyway. I wanted to block this with my Orcish Bowmasters, but it's not gonna happen, and we unfortunately didn't get anything to play. We need an answer for that Giver of Ruins, and we're not gonna get it, so I think that's gonna be a good game. We'll go ahead and play the Underground Sea. We'll put our commander out. we'll give ourselves an extra vote, and we will look for some evidence. I don't think the treasure is going to do anything for us at this moment. We have to survive an extra turn. We do get a treasure token out of it, as well as 2 clue tokens, and with that we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. We're automatically taking 2. If the Giver of Runes gives Bristly Bill pro black, then we're done, and they do. So we're going to take 21 here, assuming they swing. More plus counters to be had by lands entering, and we can't block, so no answers. Unfortunately, we needed a removal spell, and we just didn't get into one. So game 1 goes to Peter Parker, and I thought I was going to be aggressive and get that Orcish Bowmaster out, but I guess I should have left my counter spells up. We do lose game 1, so we will get to elect to be on the play for game 2, and this is a decent starting hand. We've only got 2 actual cards. The rest are a bunch of lands, but that will get us to Tivit a little sooner, and we can hopefully get rid of any important pieces, potentially Bristly Bill, if we need to. So we'll go ahead and keep. We'll play the Windswept Heath just to thin our deck a little. And I think we get Rafine's Tower just to give us all 3 colors. With that, we'll pass to our opponent. They play a Brush land as their land for turn, and then a Delighted Halfling, so that'll go ahead and hit. Pass back to us, we draw into an island. I think we go ahead and play the Watery Grave tapped, and then pass back to our opponent. Then we see a Lightning Greaves from them, and they'll go ahead and equip their Delighted Halfling. Passing back to us, we draw into a Stern Scolding, and I think we go ahead and play Command Tower. Well, let's play Command Tower, and then we can pass to our opponent. We do have 6 lands, 3 on the battlefield, 3 in hand, so we do have access to Tivit once we get there. And the Delighted Halfling to a swing for 1, and then Peter Parker to hit the stack, and we'll go ahead and Stern Scolding this. And then we draw into a Hollowed Fountain. Ah, man, we are not getting good draws here. We'll go ahead and play the Fountain. It doesn't need to enter untapped, so we were not going to pay the 2 life. And with that, we'll pass to our opponent. Again, the Delighted Halfling to swing for 1, and then Peter Parker to hit the stack. No counter spells in hand, so that's going to go ahead and happen. They'll get a 2/1 Spider token and pass back to us. Again, we draw into a land, this one a Plains. We'll go ahead and play the Underground Sea and pass to our opponent. And then they're going to go ahead and transform Peter Parker, and I think we go ahead and Swords to Plowshares him now before he flips, and they gain more life off of us using this. So we'll go ahead and do that. And then they'll swing with both the Spider token and the Delighted Halfling. We're down to 14, and they'll play an Enlightened Tutor at the end of turn, putting a Bright Glass Gearhulk on top of their library. Again, we draw into another land, and I think we go ahead and play this, paying the life. Arid Mesa into... We'll get a Tundra, and then we'll go ahead and put our commander out. Our opponent is tapped out, so that gives us a little more security. When it enters, we'll go ahead and get an extra vote, and we'll vote twice for evidence, just so we can draw into some more cards, and then our opponent to give us a treasure token. And then we'll pass back to our opponent. A Flooded Strand is their land for turn into a Hedge Maze, so they'll Surveil 1. They're going to play a Swift Reconfiguration on our commander, and it's going to become a vehicle with crew 5, so that's unfortunate, as I don't have anything I can do about it. Ward is going to fire off, so they are going to have to pay a little extra to target our commander, and now it is a vehicle, and they pass back to us. We draw into a Memory Deluge. It is an instant, but I think I should go ahead and play it now, just so that I might draw into something I could potentially use. So we'll go ahead and pay 4 for the Memory Deluge. Look at the top 4 cards. We'll put 2 into our hand. Our options are Cling to Dust, Fatal Push, Creeping Tar Pit, and a Spell Snare. And I think we get the Cling to Dust just for the option to draw a card for 1. I'm not sure between the Fatal Push and the Spell Snare. Spell Snare is a little more versatile, so I think I'm gonna grab that. Yeah, let's grab Spell Snare. And we didn't get anything into anything that we can put on the battlefield. I think we go ahead and draw off of a clue token right now just to see what we get into, and it is a Solitude. So that'll give us a 3/2 body, and we could exile a Spider right now, but we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. They'll swing for 3 with their creatures. We'll go down to 10, and then they will play a Bright Glass Gearhulk. Unfortunately, nothing we can do about that right now, but we do have the Solitude, which is what we'll likely use to get rid of that next turn. So that'll go ahead and hit. They're going to search up an Ocelot Pride as well as the Warden of the Inner Sky, and then they'll play the Ocelot Pride. Maybe that Fatal Push was the better option, and then they'll also get the Warden of the Inner Sky off. So they've got a pretty full board now, and they'll also get the plus counter on the Warden, so it'll get Flying, Vigilance, and be a 2/3. Then they'll pass back to us. I think we go ahead and fire the Cling to Dust to get rid of the Enlightened Tutor and potentially draw into something. So we'll do that. We draw into a Verdant Catacombs, unfortunately. And then we draw a Lorien Revealed. I think we go ahead and play the Verdant Catacombs into the Solitude to get rid of the Bright Glass Gearhulk. Let's go ahead and do that. That'll thin our deck just a little bit. We'll go ahead and get let's get an Undercity Sewer so that we can surveil one. On top of our deck is a Supreme Verdict, so I think we actually go ahead and leave that on top. And then I think we fire this clue off to draw the Supreme Verdict and try to play it. That would leave us 1 mana up for the spell snare, potentially. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that. We'll draw into the Supreme Verdict and then let's play it. And it does go through, so we do wipe our opponent's battlefield. They do have 2 cards left in hand, and we still have our commander out. If we can get rid of an enchantment, that would be nice, but otherwise being able to crew it would be cool too. So we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. We do have Spell Snare available, and they're going to play Peter Parker, so I think we go ahead and counter that, and that will send it back to us. Peter Parker now to cost 8, or an additional 6 colorless. We draw into a March of the Otherworldly Light. So let's go ahead and play this Plains for turn, and then let's get rid of this Swift Reconfiguration and swing with Tivit. So we'll pay 2 for the March of the Otherworldly Light. That'll exile that artifact. Tivit back as a creature now. Then I think we go ahead and swing for 6. No responses from our opponent. We'll do the bribery vote thing. So we'll go ahead and collect more evidence, as I'd like to get into more cards. Our opponent to give us another treasure token, and they're down to 10 life. We do have a lot of mana available. Everything we can do at flash speed, with the exception of Emrakul, which I can't play just yet anyway. So we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent, and they'll play a Haywire Might. They'll attach the Lightning Greaves to it, and that's fine. And then they'll play On Thin Ice. So I think in response, we'll go ahead and play Lorien Revealed to draw 3 cards. Oh, I thought I could do this at instant speed. I cannot, so I should have drawn those cards already. Let's fire off some clues and see if we can't draw into an answer. Draw 1 card. It's a Void Rend. Destroy non-land permanent. So I guess we could get rid of the On Thin Ice with that. Let's draw 1 more and see if we can't get into a counter spell. So we'll fire off another clue, and we draw Council's Judgment. So we got 2 different ways to get rid of that enchantment. So we'll go ahead and let that through. That'll be fine. It is going to cost them a little extra because of the ward, and then Tivit's going to be exiled. We'll let that happen. So he's stuck under the Thin Ice there, and then the Haywire Might in for 1. We'll go ahead and use this Void Rend now at instant speed. So we'll get rid of the On Thin Ice. Tivit back. We'll do the whole vote thing all over again. Again, we'll vote for actually this time we'll vote for bribery twice, and we do get all full 3 treasure tokens. So now we've got quite a bit of mana. Let's go ahead and draw. We draw into a Hall of the Storm Giants. I don't want to play Emrakul just yet, as I don't want to overextend, and I think our opponent is in a bit of a pickle, so I think we just swing the next 2 turns with Tivit and try to protect him. Let's go ahead and play the Hall of Storm Giants. Actually, let's go to combat. Let's swing. We'll swing for 6. No blocks from our opponent. We'll do the vote thing again. This time we want evidence, so we'll get a couple clues. Our opponent to give us another treasure. They'll go down to 4. We'll play Hall of the Storm Giants. We can turn it into a 7/7 next turn if they get rid of Tivit somehow. And let's go ahead and draw 3 cards off of Lorien Revealed. We draw into a Consult the Star Charts, Flood Farm Verge, and a Snapcaster Mage. We do have some counter magic in our graveyard, so we can get something good back with Snapcaster Mage potentially. We've also got removal, so I think we're sitting quite good here. We'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. They'll swing for 1 with the Haywire Might. We'll go down to 7. Sanctifier and Vec to hit the stack. I don't really mind if they get rid of the black cards in our graveyard. That doesn't bother us. I'd rather protect Tivit, so we'll let that hit. We'll lose Void Rend and Cling to Dust, and then they will pass back to us at the end of turn. Let's go ahead and play this. Let's go ahead and activate a clue. Draw into a Mana Tithe off of the clue. Let's go ahead and use the other clue, and we draw into Plea for Power off of that, and then let's play a Swamp as our land for turn, and let's go to combat. We'll swing for 6 with Tivit, and no responses, so we'll take game 2, 1 game apiece. Seeing as we won game 2, our opponent's gonna get to choose to go first. So we'll be going second. This is our starting hand. It's okay. We have access to a mana leak and memory lapse. We are only 2 lands deep, so I'm not a big fan of that, but we can get one of the colors we need for this Sign in Blood, and hopefully we can draw into a second black so that we have access to both of these cards. A little bit risky, but I think I'm going to keep it. Our opponent to open with Savannah, and they'll play an Enlightened Tutor, putting Enduring Vitality on top of their library. So hopefully we can counter that with a mana leak. We draw into a Plea for Power. We'll go ahead and play the Windswept Heath, and we'll crack it right now for Rafine's Tower, giving us all 3 of our colors. And then we'll pass to our opponent. They'll get into a Plains as their land for turn, and then we will see Peter Parker hit the stack. He'll come with his 2/1 Spider token. Back to us, we draw Teferi, Hero of Dominaria. Interesting. The other game, we kept getting more and more lands when we didn't need them, and now we're not getting any lands. We'll play Otawara as a land for turn, pass to our opponent. We have Mana Leak and Memory Lapse available. Spider to attack us for 2. We'll go down to 17, and then we'll see a Spring Heart Nantuko hit the stack, and our opponent did not play a land, so I think we go ahead and Memory Lapse this and keep them on 2 lands. So that'll get countered and get put back on top of their library, give us a little more time. We draw into a Long Goodbye, so we could get rid of Peter Parker, but I think we hang on to our mana right now for this Mana Leak, and we'll just pass back to our opponent. Spider to attack us for 2. Again, we'll see the Spring Heart Nantuko hit the stack. I think we go ahead and Mana Leak that, so that'll get countered, and then it will be our turn. We draw into a Drown in the Loch, and then I think we pass to our opponent. We've got Long Goodbye and Drown in the Loch available. Unfortunate that we couldn't get into any lands, but positive that our opponent also couldn't get into lands. Again, no land from them first main phase, and then a Staff of the Storyteller. And I think we Drown in the Loch this, countering a spell with a cost less than or equal to the number of cards in our opponent's graveyard, so they've got 2, so that should work. So we'll pay the 2, and the staff will be countered, and we still don't draw into a land. We do get a Remand, so we can draw a card off of that potentially. Hopefully that will help us get into a land, but we've got nothing we can do on our turn, so we'll go ahead and pass to our opponent. They'll play a Green Sun Zenith for 1. Probably looking up for a Delighted Halfling or something of that nature, and I think we go ahead and Remand this, putting it back into their hand, and then we draw a card. We get a Subtlety, so we're 85 cards or 15 cards deep, and I've only gotten 2 lands. Spider again in for 2. We're down to 1 or 11 life, and we draw a Spell Snare. This is just brutal. Nothing we can do. We're at 8 cards, so we're gonna have to discard unless we play something now. I don't want to lose cards. So I think the right play is to cast Long Goodbye on Peter Parker. This Spider does keep on hitting us, which I'm not a fan of. Maybe we get rid of the Spider. They are 2 turns away from being able to transform him. We've also got this in our hand for potentially a couple turns away. So yeah, let's go ahead and play Long Goodbye on this Spider. And with that, we'll pass back to our opponent. They do finally draw a land. They'll Green Sun Zenith for 2. And they do get a Delighted Halfling anyway. So now they've got 4 mana, and they'll pass back to us. We do finally get into a land. It's a Dark Slick Shores. It'll enter untapped, so we've got access to 3 mana now. We've got 2 black, so we can play this Dam, but I'm likely wanting to hold out for 1 more land. So I think we just leave Spell Snare up. I don't know. Maybe we play this Sign in Blood and leave Spell Snare up. That might be the right choice. I think we'll be discarding, unfortunately. But I just don't want to be leaving mana on the table. So we'll take 2, choosing ourselves, and then pay the 2 black, lose 2 life, draw 2 cards. There's a Command Tower, and we just have the Spell Snare up. So with that, we'll pass back to our opponent. I'm not sure if Plea for Power or the Farewell is the best choice to something to get rid of. I'm likely leaving Subtlety up for 4 mana. I'm also likely playing Tivit. Well, I've also got this Dam that I can overload for 4 mana. So I'm likely playing Dam, and I want the Farewell potentially for a second board wipe. I think Plea for Power is the right choice of something to get rid of. So we're going to go ahead and discard that. Arid Mesa from our opponent into a Meticulous Archive. They'll swing for 1 with their Halfling. We'll go down to 8. And then an Eladamri's Call, and we'll go ahead and Spell Snare that. Back to us, we draw into a Negate. We'll go ahead and play the Command Tower. I think we leave the Dismiss up to counter something, or we let them sink the mana into Peter Parker before we Dam and play an overloaded Dam. We've also got the Subtlety, which could give us a 3/3 flyer, which would be nice. Yeah, let's go ahead and pass to our opponent. They go ahead and transform Peter Parker. So he'll be a 4/4. They'll swing for 5. Unfortunately, I am going to lose all that mana. I guess I should have wiped the board already, but I guess we'll be doing it this turn with the overloaded dam, as they didn't do anything, and so we couldn't respond as they just transformed their commander. We'll get into Minamo, School of Water's Edge, give us a blue source, and then we will go ahead and overload this dam to destroy our opponent's creatures. That'll wipe the board, our opponent at 19 and us at 3 life, and we'll pass to them. Noble Hierarch is a creature, and they'll pass back to us. We draw into a Damnation. We really need one more land, but we didn't get it, so we'll just have to go off of counter magic. We could put out Teferi to draw a card, potentially get a land. The Hierarch can only attack us for 1. We do have Subtlety that we could use by getting rid of a blue card. So let's go ahead and do that. We do get to also untap 2 lands, so we could potentially have access to negate. We draw into a Temple of the False God, which is almost perfect because that would give us the 4 mana we need for either of these cards. So we'll go ahead and pass the turn. We'll untap 2 lands at the end of turn, and then Feely is going to hit the stack, and we can't untap just yet. I could go ahead and play this and lose negate or dismiss. I think we need to, because Felia could have swung at us for 3 because of the Exalt on the Noble Hierarch. So yeah, let's go ahead and play Subtlety, evoking a blue card. We'll get rid of negate. We still have access to dismiss after we untap 2 lands. So we'll go ahead and put Felia. We'll go ahead and put Felia back on top of our opponent's library. Subtlety will go ahead and disappear, and now we'll get to untap 2 lands. We'll get both of our 3-color lands, and then we see a Static Prison from our opponent. So that'll put Teferi in a Static Prison. He'll be gone for a couple turns until they run out of energy. Then we'll see the Noble Hierarch swing for 1 off of the Exalt trigger, and they don't. Oh, I guess I should have dismissed the Static Prison. I was waiting for something a little bit more impactful. I'm okay with that, that's fine. We draw into an Arcane Signet. I think we play the Signet into Tivit. Yeah, let's do that. Ooh, we would lose dismiss. Yeah, let's do that. We're gonna play the Arcane Signet, and then we'll go ahead and play Tivit. 2 or even 3 mana doesn't do anything for us, so we're gonna go for Evidence, and our opponent gives us a treasure token. Pass back to our opponent. They'll now play Felia, and they'll lose their energy, so 1 more turn away from getting Teferi back. Our opponent not to swing, and then we see a Bright Glass Gearhulk for 4. He'll go ahead and tutor up some creatures. We'll get the Ocelot Pride and the Warden of the Inner Sky, so the exact same 2 as the other game when he played the Gearhulk, and then play the Pride. I can't block all these creatures, so I likely need to play Damnation or Farewell. We'll go ahead and untap. We draw into a swamp. We'll play that land, and then I think we swing for 6 and then play Damnation. Let's do that. Attack for 6. Opponent down to 13. We'll do the voting thing. Again, we'll go for Evidence. Second main phase, we'll play Damnation. Everything's going to get destroyed. Tivit back to the command zone. And then we've got a bunch of clues we can fire off, or this Dismiss to block our opponent. Alright, Static Prison to lose its last energy counter, so Teferi to come back next turn, and then they'll play Peter Parker. I think we go ahead and dismiss this, as I just don't want them having bodies out. They do have 5 cards in hand, but I don't want to get too far. I don't want to get behind and have them get their board full of creatures again, so we'll go ahead and dismiss it. We draw into another Teferi. And then I think we can go ahead and fire off a clue to draw a card. So we'll use our Arcane Signet and a treasure token, and we draw into Meticulous Archive, and then we'll go ahead and go to Upkeep. We draw into a Fatal Push. We'll play the Archive. We surveil a Lorien Revealed on top. I think we go ahead and leave that on the top of our library, and then let's go ahead and play Tivit again. And our opponent is going to play Solitude on Tivit. We will get the bribery voting deal. Oh, it's going to get warded. I forgot. So our opponent's going to just lose some cards here. That's going to be an AI error, but I'm not going to complain about it. We'll go ahead and get more evidence. Bunch of clue tokens, and then we'll pass to our opponent. Teferi to come back to us as they lose energy counters. Then we'll see a Voice of Resurgence hit the stack, and a Warden of the Inner Sky. Not really worried about the Voice of Resurgence, but this could be a flyer and cause some problems. I do need to get another body out. we've got 1 mana with a treasure. We can return something. I think we're gonna have to fire that off and give ourselves more time. Okay, yeah, let's leave our treasure token for now. We'll go ahead and, oh no, we've got this arcane signet we can use. Let's use that to get rid of the Warden of the Inner Sky. Wait, what? Oh, whenever our opponent casts, oh shoot. I did not realize I couldn't play on my opponent's turn off of the Voice of Resurgence. That'll be me not knowing how to play. Fatal Push to give them an elemental token. We draw into Lorien Revealed. I think we go ahead and swing and then exile all creatures. Yeah, let's do that. We'll swing. This time we're gonna get some treasure tokens. Our opponent down to 7. We'll take an extra vote. We'll go for bribery. And our opponent's to give us a clue token this time. Let's go ahead and play farewell. We'll just exile all creatures. Well, let's do exile all creatures and graveyards. I don't know how much our opponent plays with their graveyard, but we don't do a whole lot of graveyard shenanigans. That'll cost us 6. So lots of things to go to exile. Tivit back to the command zone. We'll draw a card off of Teferi. We'll get to untap 2 lands. We do get into a Memory Deluge. And I think we go ahead and Island Cycle Lorien Revealed and play a land for turn, because I don't think we did that. We'll go ahead and get an Underground Sea and play that as our land for turn. And I don't know how this works. Somebody let me know down in the comments. I've got this Teferi here. I've also got the Teferi on the battlefield. If I put out a second Teferi, they should both die or whatever. One of them need to be sacrificed to the legend rule, right? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. At least that's how it works with creatures. I don't want to risk it here, as I don't want to lose one, but somebody let me know down in the comments. And then with that, we'll go ahead and pass back to our opponent, and we'll also untap a couple of lands off of Teferi's trigger. Our opponent to get into a brush land, and then we'll see the Enduring Vitality that they tutored up so long ago hit the stack. Let's go ahead and play the Memory Deluge and potentially counter this. Look at the top 4. We don't have a counter spell, but we do have options of removal. Let's get the Cut Down and the Void Rend, the other cards, to go to the bottom of our library. And then let's fire off a clue token at the end of turn. We draw into a Council's Judgment, so now we're sitting on a lot of removal. And I think we go ahead and sack a treasure and get another clue sacrificed as well. Draw into another card. This next clue token is going to give us a counter spell. So now we're sitting on a lot of control in our hand. As long as our opponent doesn't get some kind of a burn effect, I think we should be able to pull this one off. We draw into a Plains as a land for turn. Let's go ahead and recast our commander. We'll go ahead and go for bribery both times, just so we can get some extra mana. And we'll get 3 treasure tokens this time off of it. We've got 2 lands untapped. I think we go ahead and draw a card off of Teferi and untap some lands. Tivit can block this guy. We've got counterspell to protect him. So I think we're sitting okay there. We draw into a Kaya's Guile, so we can force our opponent to sacrifice the Enduring Vitality as well. We can do it at instant speed, so I think we go ahead and just pass to our opponent. And we'll untap the Temple of the False God and the Meticulous Archive. Our opponent to draw a card, play Prismatic Vista as land for turn, and then we'll see Peter Parker hit the stack. That'll be fine. We'll use Cut Down on him here in a second. He does come with a spider token. Forgot about that. Let's go ahead and force him to sack something right now before the spider hits. Ooh, I think I want to entwine this just so we can get everything off of it. So we'll pay 6 to entwine that spell. So our opponent's going to sacrifice a creature, exile their graveyard. We're going to get a 1/1 flyer, and we're going to gain 4 life, which gives us a little more breathing room. And now we should actually be able to swing back next turn for the win. Oh shoot, well, they've got that spider token, but I think we should be able to get rid of it so they won't have a blocker. So with that, we'll go ahead and go to our upkeep. We draw into a Stock Up. Let's go ahead and cut down the spider token. It'll be removed. We'll go to combat and just swing with Tivit. Our opponent at 5 life, swinging for 6, and that'll knock them out of the game. So that'll give us a 2-1 victory over Peter Parker. Really close third match there. We were able to stabilize and pull off a win, which is what Tivit is really about. Comes down to probably being better at mulliganing to not have as close of games. I got lucky enough that I was able to get into the lands that we needed, and our opponent didn't have lands to start as well, so that drew out the game. If you made it this far, then you get to answer our question of the day, it being National Leftovers Day. Let me know your favorite food down in the comments to eat as a leftover. Mine being spaghetti. I feel like spaghetti tastes almost as good as a leftover as it did when it was made fresh. Maybe I'm making spaghetti wrong. YouTube thinks you'll like the video in the top right. Otherwise, you could check out one of the playlists on the bottom. If you liked the video, consider subscribing by clicking the button in the top left. And if you want to support the channel, you can do so by giving this video a thumbs up or leaving a comment with your thoughts below. Thanks for watching and have a great day.